In many African homes, the wall gecko is nothing more than a small, quiet creature that clings to walls and hunts insects in the night. But in some places, people believe they are more than ordinary animals. They are watchers, and sometimes they do more than watch. Michael was a quiet man in his early 30s who lived alone in a small room at the edge of his village. His life was simple and predictable. During the day, he worked hard to earn a living. At night, he returned home to rest. For a long time, his nights had been peaceful. Then everything changed. It was with a wall gecko. Every evening, shortly before he went to sleep, a gecko appeared on the ceiling directly above his bed. At first, Michael paid little attention to it. Geckos were common in the village, and seeing one inside a room was nothing unusual. But this gecko seemed different. It always appeared in the same place, and somehow it always seemed to be watching him. One night, as Michael drifted into sleep, he suddenly became aware of a strange sensation. His body felt impossibly heavy. He tried to move his arms, but they would not respond. He tried to sit up, but he could not. His eyes were open, yet he was completely helpless. Fear gripped his heart. Then he saw it. The gecko. Slowly and deliberately, it began to move. It crawled across the ceiling and appeared to pass horizontally over his body from one side to the other. Although he felt no physical touch, an overwhelming paralysis held him captive. He wanted to scream, but no sound came from his mouth. When the experience finally ended, Michael sat up trembling. The next night it happened again, and the night after that, the same terrifying pattern repeated itself. Every time he fell asleep, the gecko appeared. Every time it appeared, he became unable to move, and every time, an invisible fear settled over him like a dark cloud. As the weeks passed, the torment grew worse. Michael began avoiding sleep whenever possible. He stayed awake late into the night, hoping exhaustion would overcome him only when dawn approached. His friends noticed the change. The cheerful man they knew had become anxious and withdrawn. Dark corners made him uneasy. Every gecko he saw caused his heart to race. He became convinced that the creature haunting his nights was always the same one. Then came the worst night of all. Exhausted from days of little rest, Michael finally fell asleep. Soon the familiar paralysis returned. The gecko appeared once again and began its slow journey on the ceiling directly above him. But this time, something was different. When it reached the middle of his chest, it stopped. Then it turned its head and looked directly into his eyes. A cold terror swept through him. He struggled desperately to move, but his body remained frozen. And then he heard a voice, not with his ears, but within his mind. We watch. We know. We report. The words echoed through him like a whisper from another world. Michael's heart pounded violently. The air around him felt heavy and oppressive. He tried to scream, but no sound came. When morning arrived, he knew he could no longer face the ordeal alone. Determined to find help, he visited a man widely respected throughout the village. Many believed the man carried great spiritual authority and wisdom. After listening carefully to Michael's story, the man remained silent for a moment. Finally, he spoke. "You have carried this burden long enough," he said calmly. "Tonight, you will not face it alone." Towards evening time, the man of God went with Michael to his house. But something happened that night. The man of God stayed and prayed with Michael through the night. But the gecko didn't show up. When morning came, the man of God left and asked Michael to see him in his office the next day. But Michael insisted and followed him back to the church. He was more than afraid to stay alone at home. When night came, he slept in the house of the man of God. He experienced nothing that night, and he became more afraid of his own house. The next day, the man of God alongside Michael started the day, with serious fasting and prayers. Michael stayed with the man of God through the day. Later in the evening, the man of God accompanied Michael back to his room. As darkness settled outside, he spent hours in prayer. The atmosphere inside the room gradually changed. The fear that had lingered there for weeks seemed to weaken. Yet both men knew the night was not over. Eventually, Michael fell asleep. As expected, the familiar sensation returned. The crushing weight, the paralysis, the terrible silence. Then the gecko appeared once more. Slowly it moved toward him. But before it could reach him, a powerful voice broke the stillness. "Stop!" The command rang through the room with authority. The gecko froze instantly. For the first time, it seemed disturbed. Its calm appearance vanished. "You have no authority here," the man of God declared. "Leave and never return." The creature seemed to hesitate. Then the same distorted whisper came again. "We watch," but this time the response was stronger. "Not here. Not again." Suddenly, the oppressive weight disappeared. Michael gasped as he regained control of his body. The gecko fell from the wall and vanished into the darkness. And from that night forward, it never returned. For the first time in many weeks, Michael slept peacefully. The paralysis ended. The fear disappeared. The watching presence was gone. Life slowly returned to normal. Yet even today, whenever the night grows unusually quiet and a gecko appears silently on a wall nearby, he sometimes remembers those frightening nights. And he cannot help but wonder, are they all just animals? Or are some still watching? Because in the silence, not everything that watches is harmless.